और फिर से वो लिंक को क्लिक करो। अभी मैं भेजा से लिंक को क्लिक करो। It's just started.
Put it on the group. Have you checked the audio?
That's what I can check.
You can check it here itself, right?
तुम्हारा इसमें नेट फास्ट है तो
Hotspot is running.
Mine. Let's see. Check.
Turn the camera to the audience side na for a while, or else zoom into the Venice.
हाँ, Venice. Check. 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 Check 1 2 3. Check.
Hello.
No, directly. Check 1 2 3. Clear है? Clear. Everything is clear. Done. Check.
हेलो, इनविल माइक भी ऑन है क्या? हेलो, हाँ
Done. Okay.
पावर बटन
वो लिंक को इधर से शेयर कर। वही लिंक थी ना जो अल्फा में डाला था।
वही है
की लिंक
यूट्यूब से लाइव।
ओ चैनल पर लाइव दे रहे हैं।
देखो एक बार चेक करो।
मालूम था व्यू कितने हुए।
हाँ, चेक करो।
स्ट्रीमिंग स्टार्ट करे।
हो गया।
फिर वेटिंग में डाला था, नोटिफिकेशन ही नहीं आया मेरे को।
4 बजे
हर बार के चैनल है। चैनल पे दे देखना जी।
अब
कितने हैं अभी नहीं?
जैसे पता नहीं जो इंग्लिश काफी कितने लोग आते इधर के।
ये पहले बुलाया बोले ना, डीओपी को बुलाया बोले ना। डीओपी इतना डेटा है। डिले आ रहा।
इलेक्ट्रिशियन है।
स्ट्रीमिंग उधर से हो रहा है तेरे काम।
इधर ही बैठना है यार। इधर ही कुर्सी अच्छा है।
मीडिया में स्ट्रीमिंग।
ठीक है। तो ये भी ऑफ कर दो, ये टीवी भी ऑफ कर दो प्लीज।
टीवी पिक्चर
ஆமா எப்போ ஆரம்பிக்கலாமோ இன்னும் லைட் இல்லையா அந்த இடத்துல இவ்வளவுதான் லைட்டா நான் ஹவுஸ் லைட் பண்ணிக்கிறேன் அங்க ஒரு லைட் இருக்கு ஓகேவா இந்த ஆப்ஷன் இல்லலாம் என்ன we don't want to show anything so tell me
इसमें डाले ना नहीं डिले।
हाँ डिले तो रुको
10 सेकंड 1920
नहीं यहाँ का नहीं
114 HD भी नहीं SD
बीजी कुछ भी नहीं करे ना।
कुछ नहीं है।
फिर ये ब्लू कैसे अच्छा उस पे हो गया। ठीक है
क्या नया लॉन्च किया था 630 దశరథ్ చూడగా లైవ్ స్ట్రీమింగ్ తెలుసునా కదా చేసినావా ఇంతకుముందు తెలుసా ఆర్టీఎంపీఎస్ స్ట్రీమింగ్ పెట్టేసింది కదా కాక చేసావు కదా చేసిన స్ట్రీమింగ్లో పెడితేనే కదా దానికి ఐపీ అడ్రస్ మొత్తం కనెక్ట్ చేసి
తమిళ పెడితే
తమిళ మొత్తం పోతుంది మొత్తం మిగతాది దాని పోతే ఇప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ కనెక్ట్ చేయాలి మొత్తం నీకే తెలుసు అప్పుడప్పుడు నేను కూడా యూట్యూబ్ చూస్తాను ఈజ్ అవుట్ సైడ్ విత్ అరుణ్ సార్ ఈ డోంట్ ఇంక సార్ రాడు ఆయనకి ఎందుకు వస్తాడు ఇవన్నీ ఎందుకు అనుకున్నాను 2 R3 2 R4 ఉంటాయి కాదు ఆయనకు 2 R3 2 M4 2 7 ఉంటే చాలు చాలు 4 ఊళ్ళకి ఇచ్చేసాడు అని ఏం పోతలే ఆడ ఆడియోస్ ల్యాప్టాప్ ఏడుందండి యూట్యూబ్లో నుంచి ల్యాప్టాప్ చేయాలంటే లైవ్ స్ట్రీమ్ చేయాలంటే ల్యాప్టాప్ అవసరం కంపల్సరీ తెలియదా మీకు యూట్యూబ్ ఐపీ అడ్రస్ ఎందుకు దాని ఐపీ అడ్రస్ చెప్తారు కెమెరాకు చేయవా ల్యాప్టాప్ అరే ల్యాప్టాప్ది ఐపీ అడ్రస్ దీంట్లో ఇవ్వాలి కదా మనం అరే మన ల్యాప్టాప్ మన ఇన్పుట్ ఇది ఇన్పుట్ ఇది అవుట్పుట్ అది ఇన్పుట్ ఇప్పుడు ఫేస్బుక్ ఏంది అవుట్పుట్ నుంచి ఇన్పుట్ పోవాలి
यूट्यूब चैनल लिंक
ऑन कैमरा मैं कौन हूँ
जब से बातें कर रहा है बोले तो इन कैमरा इनको को तो
Venice2 one, a few years back, it has been introduced. And I must tell you this, we use Sony products for many, many years. And we have been in line for a long time in cinema. My father started his career from silent days in cinema. And slowly we improved upon cameras, equipments, and studios. Now, including IMAX theater and many more advanced things that have been introduced by these great companies. Sony, you all know, it's so many products they have. As I said before, they have a huge research team in Japan, elsewhere in the world, constantly upgrading, improving the equipment, technology, and all. It's really amazing how they're there for our technicians. They should take advantage of what all they're giving so that you could give much better results. So, my father, as I told you, he has been a man of cinema, nothing else but cinema in his life. He didn't go to college, but he was interested in cinema, entertainment. He is from a village in Andhra. Agriculture was the main business of my grandfather. Of course, subsequently, he lost everything because my grandfather tried to grow silk in Andhra. And he sold, not sold, sort of 100 acres of land, and he brought those, what do you call them? Good. But unfortunately, at that time, government didn't have supporting, scientifically support. So the climate was not suitable, so all those things died. And my grandfather couldn't pay back the money. He became insolvent. It was a terrible insolvency. In those years was a very big problem. They will not talk to your family, they will not give children in marriage. So my father couldn't bear this, and he left. He was married, but we were all not born at that time. 31st of August, 31st of December, in one particular year, he had only 100 rupees with him. He left for Bombay. Because those days, Vadia movie tone, they used to make action pieces, Vadia movie. So he went there, and he didn't know Hindi and English also. But he was determined to be in cinema. So he went and took a place, one of the gates of the studios there who were making films. After standing there, whatever it is, for months together, slowly got into the studios, and slowly many arts, he self-taught. He learned camera, direction and all that. It took nearly 15 years for him to become a director, and started making Hindi films. I did tell you that he didn't know Hindi and English, but at Bombay he slowly got very well conversant with the language. He learned Urdu. So I will tell you this, after many years we have made many successful films, Prasad Productions. It's a household name in this country, Prasad Productions. Many films, to name few, Ek Duje Ke Liye was one. It's a very, very successful. Kilona, Jine Kira, Amrahi, Beti Bete, Raja Aur Rang, all these films are made by father, our company. It has been a great success, and slowly built up. We built studios at Chennai, we have office at Bombay, Hyderabad, we have studios here, and we have nothing else but cinema. All the investment, all the money we made, poured back into cinema. This is what my father always wanted, so we supported him in that. We're very happy. Whatever we are today is because of him and the cinema. Both stood us, and today we're very fortunate that we struck that. Sony is very difficult for anybody to understand how big they are, how much research they do. They're unbelievable. Great companies, totally devoted. You see any Japanese product, Japanese thing, they're all. Involvement is so much in terms of the whole company. They saw the whole world. So we have bought a lot of Sony products. Now we are taking the new camera that has come. First one was a great success. You all know that. Technicians would do it. We're all here. So we welcome. So they're here. What for you think they have come? They want to make you fully aware of their product, advantages, and many more things to come in. So with this, there's so many products they make, and we welcome them. Technicians should be happy that they are here, and I cannot tell you in detail how many things they do, but there's so many for us. These few words, will soon you want to know about the cameras, I'll make it easy for you. And I must thank you all for being with us. And for Prasad Productions, there's nothing else but cinema. We will continue to support.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I request Abhijit Sen, branch manager of Telangana, and say a few words about this event. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming into the launch of Venice2. Special thanks to Ramesh Prasad Garu. I think very well said, sir. I think pleasure having you here and pleasure being here actually. It's great to know that a little bit about the family history of sir also. I think as a company, if I have to quickly talk about, we are Sony India as a big company. We are moving towards almost a 10,000 crore kind of a value business in India. We have close to 22 branch offices across the India. Our operations are quite big in India. And I take care of consumer durable products, all consumer Sony products actually. So this is one of that in the category of cinema line. And as sir mentioned, we are known for innovative and creative products from Japan and for the quality as well. Quickly, if you just recall from the CyberShot time, we used to sell numbers of CyberShot, maybe hundreds, lakhs of CyberShot in India. After that, we moved into mirrorless, then we have alpha cameras. We have close to 60% share across India in the percentage of market share actually. So then comes to TV, we are known for a premium TV because of our technology and innovative products what we provide to the consumers. And I take care of Telangana state business for Sony. And also now we are moving on to cinema line in a big way across India. I think Venice1, as sir also mentioned that it was a super hit in North. Now Venice2 we are launching today. And request all your attention because we have our colleagues from Bombay and Delhi and South as well to talk more about the products. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, boss. And now I will introduce the team, whoever going to present here, Mr. Abhijit Sen and Sandeep Nair and Mr. Santosh Bhatt from HO. And please. So, and Sundar Sen, please come to the stage. And so we are team here, and thank you. And now I request Amitabh to start the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I would like to invite Mr. Sundaresan on the stage, please. So, Sundaresan will go through the presentation for Venice2. He will talk about the Venice2 features, comparison with Venice1, as well as what is the market situation of Sony cinema line cameras. Over to Sundaresan, sir.
Thank you very much, Amitabh. Ramesh ji is an honored figure, a technically very, very famous engineer throughout India. All of you know, need no introductions to him. I am indebted in a big way to Ramesh ji because back in 2012, 2013, when we introduced the Sony F65, which was the first CineAlta camera from Sony, Prasad Lab Mumbai was amongst the first customers who invested in the F65. Prasad ji himself, Ramesh ji himself took a keen interest in investing on the camera, and the first film by Imtiaz Ali on digital was shot with cameras on rental from Prasad Labs. Which the DOP was Anil Mehta. I personally remember speaking with Ramesh ji, and I thank him very much from the deepest of my hearts. He's run a laboratory for the last 30-40 years. Mr. Panayan, Mr. Shibraman in Chennai, all of whom I've interacted with when I was a boy in cinematography, and Ramesh ji shall forever be one of the heroes of cameramen in India. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. He still continues to inspire us in spite of having many other things to do in his life. Thanks very much, sir. Sandeep, you want to start first and then I'll take over? Does Sandeep run off too? There you are. Let's switch these lights off and then...
अपन कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते यार, बोले तो समझ में आता।
Warm welcome everyone. My name is Sandeep Nair and we are meeting here after exactly 3 months. If you may recall, we had a similar session for Sony's Cinema Line series. That was in June, right here in the same auditorium. And we are meeting here again for the Venice2 launch. So glad to meet you all. Warm welcome once again. So without much delay, we will start off with the presentation. Okay, so Farooq, can you change the slide, please? So we have introduced Venice2, which is very much a part of our Cinema Line series. Cinema Line series, as we had already informed, that this particular product boosts to the particular product line series that we have already introduced. And right from FX3, FX6, FX9, Venice, and now Venice2, we have a strong product lineup with full feature-rich products. Okay, so that it meets your requirements. It can be used in any application. So all your applications can be met in all these products. So we are ensuring that those products can be met for wide applications, varied applications in cinema. Now, The concept behind the cinema line series Sony introduced in 2017. We introduced Venice, and later on we introduced as a first full-frame digital cinematography camera in 2017, followed by a series of products in the full frame just to fill the gap from an amateur filmmaker to a serious professional cinema filmmaker. So we have introduced a series of products. Now the concept behind cinema line series, we have three basic principles like creativity, consistency, operability, ease of operability, and reliability of the equipment. So with these philosophies in mind, we have introduced all the products. So continuing and building up on the success of each of these products, we introduced Venice2. Venice2 has been Venice has been a success worldwide, and Venice2 we have introduced keeping in mind the feedbacks that we have received from the DOPs internationally and the improvements that we have made from Venice. So we will be looking upon each and every technical aspect of Venice2. So I would like to invite once again Sundar sir and take this presentation further. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Sandeep. I also have this mic. Is that working yet?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay. So I don't need this, right? No. That is for camera. Oh, that's for the camera. Okay. This technology is too highbrow for me. Can you have the next slide? Hi, myself again. My name is Sundaresan. I look after the Sony Media Technology Center in Film City. We are a center devoted to advancement of knowledge, experience, and user-friendliness of equipment, of digital cinematography, specifically high-end digital cinematography, essentially which replaces 35mm film. So many of us amongst here have our roots and our hearts in 35mm film, and it is for those people who began their lives in 35mm film, it is for them, as well as people who've come up from video broadcast and professional backgrounds, it is for them that the Venice2 has been introduced. So the region in red here, that is for the cameras which have been in the past. When I say the past, I mean till 2021. The ones in black, they are the older models. They predate 2021, and they are from 2015 or thereabouts. Out of these all, we shall be looking at the one on the top right-hand side, which is the Venice2. Yeah, the Venice2 is not just one model of camera, but it has two models in it. What are these two models? The next slide, please. Can we have the next slide, Farooq? Okay. The next slide shows you the key difference between the Venice2 8K camera and the rest of the cameras which have been brought out by Sony. On the left-hand side, what you see here is what a pixel of an ordinary camera is. So, a pixel, as you know, is a photodiode or a photosite. What we had was like, we had film grain, T-grain film earlier. T-grains were like two-dimensional structures. So, I would liken a photosite on a sensor to that. Okay, so a CMOS sensor used to contain in the earlier versions of CMOS cameras from Sony and even current models of other competitors. A CMOS sensor consists of photosites. Let's say you call yourself a 4K camera. So what you have is one line of 4096 photo sites. Yeah, photo site is equal to 1 film grain. I mean, you know, it's not a excellent comparison, but for, yeah, it'll do. Okay, so within a photo site, there are two areas. One converts light coming from the lens into charge, and the other stores it. So a grain consists of a storage area, a photo site consists of a storage area and a light sensing area. This is obviously little disadvantageous for a cameraman because your light sensing area here is 50%. So if your grain is, let's say, 100 ISO, because it's divided into half, it becomes 25 ISO. Sony engineers with the Venice2 have made a huge breakthrough, yeah, by having a what is called a stacked sensor. Stacked sensors are not new for Sony. All the single lens reflex cameras, the mirrorless cameras, as they are called, they are what are called backlit sensors. What are backlit sensors? In backlit sensors, the pixel transistor, that is, light falls on the sensor, gets converted into electric charge. Before the next frame is exposed, that charge needs to be turned into voltage and then be sent onto the recorder. Most of it, all of the sensors used the thing on the left-hand side, the design on the left-hand side. Stacked sensors, on the other hand, are built in 3 dimensions. It is built in 3 dimensions, so the entire 100% of the face of the photo site is devoted to light capture. So suddenly, your light sensitivity grows up. Yeah, it becomes 4-fold. So when light sensitivity increases by 2 stops, noise level goes down, ISO speed goes up. So the Venice2 has an ISO, the native ISO of 800, as opposed to the Venice1, which was also a backlit sensor, but not a stacked CMOS sensor. Sorry, it was not a stacked CMOS sensor. Yeah, so stacked CMOS sensors are new to the Venice2. They give you more dynamic range. They give you more sensitivity. Along with that, they give you far more resolution. So how are these turned into advantageous uses in the Venice2? Will be part of the next slide. Next slide, please, Farooq. Okay. So 8.6K full frame. That's what the Venice2 is. Please don't get mistaken. A cameraman friend of mine. Can you hear me without the mic? Yeah. So this mic is too painful to hold all the time. My hand is hurting. So the 8.6K, there's a cameraman friend of mine in Bombay who used the camera in London much before it was introduced in Mumbai. And he said that, hey, what's the difference between Venice1 and Venice2? One is 6K and the other is 8.6K. So there's only a difference of 2.6K. No, that is not true. There's much more. So we'll come to that in a bit. So the Venice2 is 8.6K, 3:2 aspect ratio. Why is it 3:2? Why is it not 16:9? Or why is it not 17:9? For that, we need to go back to 35mm film again. 35mm film in India, specifically from the period starting the middle 80s, always made films in the CinemaScope format. We used to use either Kowa lenses or sometimes if we were lucky, we used to get Tadeo lenses, or else it was just Kowa lenses all the time. till in the middle 90s, we got the Hawk lenses, right? So all this was equivalent of 4-perf cinematography, okay? 4-perf cinematography had a built-in aspect ratio of 1.2:1. 1.2:1 Hawk lenses or Koa lenses, you apply a squeeze ratio of 2, and then your release print would be in an aspect ratio of 2.4:1. So these full frame sensors get their inspiration from 35 mm still photography. 35 mm still photography film drew the film across the plane, across the sensor plane horizontally. They were 36 millimeters width, 24 millimeters wide, with an aspect ratio of 1.5:1. Okay? 35 mm cinema, on the other hand, on the negative, leaving aside space for the negative, for the sound negative, sorry, it had an aspect ratio of 1.2:1. Either you could have a 1.85:1 aspect ratio, or you could have a 1.2:1 aspect ratio, put an anamorphic lens, and get a release print of 2.4:1. So the convenience of 35 mm film is what has been brought into the full frame cameras. Not just Venice 1, not just Venice 2, generally speaking, all the Venice models. Yeah? So 8.6K, that is the current resolution. The earlier Venice was 6048 pixels. This new Venice is 8600 photosites in a line, and more importantly, the total pixel density, if you see in 3:2 aspect ratio, it is 50 megapixels. Okay, now let me just concentrate upon, or let me go back to what is a release print. Yeah, now till about 1-2 years ago, 2K DCPs were what were the standard. Everybody said 4K is not necessary, 2K is more than enough. Christie projectors, 2K, all the projectors in the world, they are all 2K. Sony used to keep saying, for a cinema release print, 2K is not enough. You need 4K. Indeed, the world's first 4K projector, unsurprisingly, came from Sony back in 2006. Till today, now, finally, Sony has been proven right. It has been late, but it's not been never. Yeah? So now, taking their cue from OTT platforms, cinema also is going into 4K resolution. 4K resolution means 4096 pixels on the screen. That is, starting left top, going to right top, there will be 4096 points of information for red, green, and blue. That's a 4K in one line. That's a 4K print. And there will be 2160 lines of 4096 pixels. Yeah, 4096 dots of red, green, and blue, 2160 lines of 4096 points. So that is what a 4K DCP is. So you have 4K red, 4K green, 4K blue. That is a 4K DCP. Yeah? So that, the sum total comes to 24.5 million pixels. So if you want a 4K D-cinema print, I remember Shivaji, Rajnikant's film, was made as a 4K print. That was the only 4K print for a long time, that I know of at least. Okay, there might have been, Telugu industry is very forward-looking. Technically, they are pretty much ahead. So they might have made 4K prints, but they're not publicity heavy. So probably it missed us in Mumbai. Okay, sorry about that. But a 4K print, a 4:4:4 equal RGB print has 24.5 million pixels. So, like for example, you made a 35 mm film print for projection. A 35mm film projection could come from 16mm film, a low budget film. Shot plenty of them. Low budget films were shot on 16mm, especially where I come from, Mumbai, though I'm a Tamilian. Marathi films, Bhojpuri films, all of them were shot in 16mm, yeah, and then blown up to 35mm. In the US, 8mm was a choice for many documentary filmmakers. So they would shoot in 8mm, make prints in 35mm. So the source, the mother negative, could be of various sizes. The release print was always 35mm. Yeah? So you could have 8mm, 16mm, 35mm, and if you are a David Lean, then you would make Lawrence of Arabia or any other film in 70mm and then bring it down to 35mm. Right? So as the negative size goes up, the print quality comes up. 8mm film wouldn't give you the best technical quality of a 35mm positive print film, but a 65mm mother negative would give incredible. It would give incredible 35mm release print. Yeah? Sorry, they can't hear me at the back? Oh, sorry, I thought I had allowed saying I can't hear you. I mean, you can't hear me at the back. So anyway, so larger the mother negative, better the 35mm release print. Okay, so the Venice-1. Can we have the next slide, please? We'll have to toggle between, 6K full frame, 6K 3:2. This is 6048 into 4036, 3:2 aspect ratio. If you do the multiplication, 6048 into the sum total comes out to be about 25 million pixels, which is ideal to make a 35mm DCP, 35mm comparable quality D-cinema print. Okay, so for a D-cinema print, it's like a 4K 444, imagine it to be a 35mm print. Okay, then if you take a 2K camera, which is 2048-2160, you can upscale it to 4096-2160, just like you use 16mm and blew it up to 35mm. Go back to the earlier slide, please, Farooq. On the other hand, the Venice2 is a 8.6K into 4.8K. Yeah, 8.6 lines, 8.6 points, 8,600 points, 4,800 lines, a total of 50 million photosites. So the image origination is 50 million photosites. The image ending up is 24 million photosites. So that is the advantage of shooting with Venice2 over Venice1. The Venice2 is like 65mm film, whereas the Venice1 is like 35mm film, right? The rest of all is just details that we'll keep going to. Yeah, next slide, please. Any questions here? Please interrupt me if you disagree, if you want, if you haven't understood a point, or if you want to add something. Sorry, I don't speak Telugu. I understand a little bit of Telugu. I've learned all the bad words, but yeah. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So the advantage of all Venice cameras is that the camera body can be separated from the imager block. That means that you can have a new camera body but use the old Venice 1 sensor. So this is the old Venice 6K. This is the 24 MP camera. You can use it on the Venice2 6K. Hey, buddy, what's the difference? What's the difference between the Venice 1 and the Venice 2? The Venice 1 is a camera on which the recorder is situated outside of the camera body, outside of the main camera body. The advantage is that you can record raw footage on the raw recorder, and you can record proxies on the camera body. So during lunch break, the editor and the director, or the director and the assistant director, can sit together and see if they've got all the clips, if they've got all the shots required for this scene. Let's knock down the set, move on. That's the big advantage. But on the Venice2 6K, we've lost the recorder. So the advantage here is that over the years, over the last 4 years, there's been a lot of feedback from cinematographers like you. They've told Sony that these days we are using more and more gimbals, Ronin and gimbals and other stuff, drones and all those things, which make the use of a large body disadvantageous. So give us a smaller body and we can use it on a gimbal, we can use it on drones. That'll be very, very advantageous to us. So if you want proxies, if you want raw recording, you'll use the old Venice. It's still going to be available. It's still under production. Price remains the same. But if you want a modern camera, which is to be used along with gimbals, along with drones, etc., you will choose the Venice 2. Either 6K or 8K. Okay? So the 8K, as already I've told you, is 50 MP. The Venice 2 6K is 24 MP, like the Venice 1. But the Venice 2 6K is without the recorder. Furthermore, you can get rid of the PL mount interface and then put Sony's state-of-the-art G Master prime lenses. There are 24, 35, 50, 85, 1.4. Yeah? With dual base ISO, you can practically shoot in the most underlit situation and get fantastic results. So you have a situation wherein you can separate the image sensor that you already know very well and then put it on this new 6K, keep the old 6K aside and then use it with gimbal and whatever else. Or you buy a new Venice 2 8K sensor alone and then use it with the new body, right? Next slide, please. Yeah, so here you have 8.6K 3:2. 8.6K 3:2 is the best possible recording aspect ratio because it gives you 50 million pixels. Great in VFX because more data means compositing work, zooming plates, etc. The work becomes very easy. Okay, but buddy, 1:1.5 is not a release aspect ratio. A release aspect ratio is 2.39:1. That's why we say, let's put an anamorphic lens on the Venice 2, let's say using a Cook 1.8 squeeze anamorphic lens, you give maximum real estate to the light to fall on the sensor. So there you get practically 50 megapixels of information which you can squeeze into a 4K DCP. That kind of quality you'll never be able to get on any other camera, right? So the biggest advantage of the Venice 2 is realized when you use anamorphic lenses. And happily, Indian cinema since the mid-80s, I mean, if you see Sahib Bibi or Gulam, Guru Dutt's films, they were all shot by V.K. Murthy in probably before I was born. They were all shot with anamorphic lenses. I don't know what lenses were used, but they were shot with Mitchell cameras and anamorphic lenses. So Indian cinema is an anonymous, is synonymous, not anonymous, oh my, synonymous with anamorphic shooting and the 8.6 3:2 full frame along with anamorphic lenses such as those from Cook are really suited for this camera. Alternatively, if you are shooting widescreen aspect ratios, you can still shoot 8K, 8.6K, 3:2 and then make a 1.66 release print. I remember very well films from Kerala, films of Aravindan, etc. Even Telugu films, they used to be made in 1.66 aspect ratio, which was called European widescreen in the south of India at that point. I'm talking of mid-80s, late 80s, etc. when I was a boy. Yeah. So that's, yeah, wide 36 mm large format with a spherical lens. There's spherical lenses include the Zeiss Supreme, they include Cook, they include Leica, they include Optimo from Angenieux, and also the Arri Signature Primes. Yeah, you can use those. Height 24 mm large format with anamorphic lens. The height of 35 mm film for anamorphic on the mother negative was 18 millimeters. 18 millimeters by 20.95 millimeters was 35 mm film size. Here you have almost 35.5 millimeters width and 24 millimeters height. The image quality is killing, yeah? Super 35 4K anamorphic lens, yeah? That's what I've been talking about. Super 35 3-perf spherical lens. So both your looks are realized with the 3:2 sensor. But what I would strongly discourage is the use of 8.6K along with spherical lenses and making a 2.39 aspect ratio print. That does not make an anamorphic film. So please use anamorphic lenses for that, for a 2.39 aspect ratio. Telugu cameramen are very, very advanced and all the major hits playing in the theaters are regional films now, as they are called in Bombay. Bombay is also a region, you know, I don't know why that's Hindi cinema. Yeah, is also regional. Anyway, so next slide, please. Any questions about this? I mean, nobody cares or everybody understands? We can't be in the middle anyway. Yeah, no questions? Okay. Well, this is the same thing. So, the advantage of the Venice 2 also is that with Super 35 lenses, Super 35, I mean master primes, ultra primes, and master anamorphics, Cook's anamorphics. You can get 6K by 4K. You can get a 4K bang for bang 4K print along with Super 35 lenses, thus reducing costs. The Venice 1 gives you 24 million pixels with full frame lenses, which are more expensive to hire. Like for example, Zeiss Supreme costs more than CP3 to hire. 7i costs more than 5i or 4i to hire. Master Primes costs less than signature primes. So you can get the Venice 1 quality with the Venice 2 using Master Primes, SI, CP3, etc., 5i, yeah, etc., using the Venice 2 in Super 35, right? Also, Super 35 zooms are many, yeah. You have many anamorphic, you have many ingenue zooms which are in Super 35. Those you can use in Venice 2 6K aspect ratio. Next, please. Yeah, so these are the various resolution that is available. The thing to note here is the image width. Traditional 35mm width is 20.95. It is only marginally more on Venice 1, 22.6. But you get 36 millimeters by 24 millimeters. This is what is like 65mm film, yeah? Right. So next slide, please. Yeah, 8K, 6K resolution, recording directly in X-OCN. What's X-OCN? Extended Range Original Camera Negative. So, I'll just hark back to the past a little bit. So, television has always been chasing film, trying to be film. That is why when we had standard Academy aspect ratio of 1.37:1, we used to shoot 1.33:1, we used to call it, with side space left for sound negative. That was 1.33:1, 1.37:1 as it was called. The standard aspect ratio, standard Academy aspect ratio, television was 1.33. Then came HD. HD did not have the aspect ratio of 1.33 or 4:3. What aspect ratio did it have? It had the aspect ratio of film, which was 1.85:1, which was called the American widescreen, or 1.66:1, which was called the European widescreen. HD sat itself in between these two, so that it could swing both ways, both in the US as well as in Europe, as the world over. 1.77:1. 4:3, yeah? 16:9. How are they related? Mathematically, 4 square is 16, yeah? 3 square is 9. So 4:3, 16:9. So when they were contemplating 4K television, they wanted to go another cubed. So that would have resulted in an aspect ratio of 2.39:1, or the anamorphic aspect ratio. But TV manufacturers said, nothing doing. They said, nothing doing. Panels will become too expensive. So even 4K TV will remain 16:9. Yeah? But cinema will always be 2.39:1 anamorphic aspect ratio. Yeah, no beating that. So 6K, 8K high resolution is meant for that. Enough size of 1 pixel for getting light from lenses. I was at SMPT conference some years ago, where there was a presentation by the head of optics of Leica's chief scientist, optic scientist, whatever. I mean, he was a very senior engineer, scientist, whatever. Yeah. So he was saying that the smallest point of light that can be formed by the world's best lens is 2.5 microns. Yeah. So you can make photosites smaller than 2.5 microns, but it's not going to be useful cinematically because a point of light is always going to be 2.5 microns or larger. 2.5 is the maximum small point of light that you can get only at f4. Yeah? If you go to 2.8 or 2, 2.5 probably would become 3 microns. If you go to 5, 6, 8 or 11, it would probably become 4, 5 microns. What on earth is a micron? A micron is like millimeters, only less. The width of human hair, the hair on your head, on an average, is 75 microns. On the other hand, the Venice2 has a photosite size of 4.03 microns, which means, how many times is 12, 50, 16 fours or 64? Yeah, one strand of hair will be covered by 16 photosites in the Venice2. The Venice1 is 6 microns. For the same imager size, the Venice2 is 4.5 microns. The Venice1 is 6 microns. So it's going to be far more detailed. So having photosite size less than 2.5 microns, not going to help. But doctors, they use endoscopes which go into your stomach. Their microns are, it's going to be 2.5, less than 2.5. For sure, there are sensors manufactured by various manufacturers, Nikon, Olympus, whoever, for medical devices which are less than 1 micron. But they are not cinema quality. No director, no cameraman is going to project it on a screen this size and say, why am I not getting enough contrast? You know, they're not meant for, yeah? So if you want this size of screen, 2.5 microns is the max that you can do. So, yeah. Anyway, so, oh, yeah, just go back. Am I boring you? Should I go faster? Okay, yes. Shallow depth of field, images have the equivalent one, yeah, compared to Super 35. I don't know, but you may like it, you may not like it, but I'm a fan of movies made in the 50s and the 60s. There is a film from Prasad Studios which has got the song Khilona Tod Jate Ho. There, it's in color. The depth of field is huge. So anyway, so you can have shallow depth of field, you can have deep depth of field, but please remember, both Venice2 and Venice1 are extremely sharp and focus needs to be very good. The focus pullers from Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, let's say, Telangana, Telugu speaking focus pullers are amongst the best in the country. They are in huge demand in Bombay and all over the country, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that's amazing, yeah. Super wide shooting. So, yes, 50 mm lens on a 50 mm spherical lens on Super 35 sensors, such as the Venice2 and the Venice1, is equivalent to 35 mm of Super 35. That is full frame 50 mm, Super 35 35 mm. Same image height, same image width. Yeah. 8K to 4K oversampling, recording to 4K ProRes or whatever format. 4K RAW, 4K ProRes, whatever. Yeah, oversampling means like shooting shooting 16 mm, blowing up to 35 mm is undersampling. Shooting 65 mm, blowing down to 35 mm is oversampling. So with the Venice 2, you are oversampling. Like for example, now people are talking of virtual productions. Virtual production meaning hero will be standing in foreground, background will be some computer generated imagery. So in order for the computer generated imagery to look realistic, it needs the screen needs to have very, very high pixel density. That is, nowadays the minimum is 8 microns. 8 microns, the trouble is, it starts giving Moir effect, aliasing in most digital cameras. You have to come down on the microns, come to about 5 microns or 6 microns on your display in order for the aliasing or Moir effect, that like that the line comes, no, to avoid that. So if you use a higher resolution camera, this Moir effect becomes 1/4 as compared to Super 35. So that is another advantage of oversampling. That is why also Sony have chosen the 8K as standard in full frame. Yeah, next please. Next slide. Yeah, larger campus are useful for, campus is the wrong word. There's some Japanese guy who's written this. Larger sensor size should be, yeah. IMAX content projection. Today, even in India, there are 3 release prints being made. 3 kinds of release prints being made for the biggest budget movies. One is a 4K or a 2K DCP. The second is a 3D conversion, 2D to 3D conversion release. The third is IMAX. So for IMAX resolution, you certainly need the number of pixels of the Venice 2. The 8K pixels are going to come in handy. Yeah? Shift up down in post-production. Yeah, as a cameraman, I would never agree to this, but then if you're doing VFX, can be very, very handy. Shoot a large plate and then zoom in into some portion, throw it out of focus, use it without noise, use it without pixelation, all of that. So that's a huge advantage. Yeah, full frame anamorphic support. That's the most fantastic part of it. So we have the Cook anamorphic 75mm lens. After I finish talking, we can take a look at that. I'll finish soon, I promise. Next, please. Yeah, high resolution, we've been through all that. Yeah. Next, please. 16 stops latitude. That is one of the major advantages of this camera. All Sony cameras, irrespective of whether it's a still camera, let's say you have the Alpha 7S, okay? Whether it is the Alpha 7S camera or the Venice 2, all of them offer 6 stops over dynamic range. That is, you're shooting 2.8 and you take a spot meter reading of, let's say, a white area in the background. If the spot meter reading is 22, you will get 100% detail in post. But if it's 22 plus, which is 6 stops plus even 1, it will burn. Yeah. So all Sony cameras at the native ISO are 6 stops over dynamic range. Lower, you can have, depending upon the quality of the camera, more and more latitude. So the F65 was the best camera that Sony had ever produced. But in order to get that image quality, technology of the time demanded such a large body. But today, with advancements in technology, Sony is able to squeeze in better quality than the F65 in such a small body. By the way, the quality of the F65, the Sony F65, has still not been beaten except by the Venice1 and the Venice2. Venice1 comes slightly better than the F65, but the F65 is a grand camera. It's a great camera. Yeah. Also supporting HDR productions. If you are doing OTT, the hero release print today is a high dynamic range image. So the Venice1, Venice2, both of them support HDR image making. Next, please. Next. The 8K image sensor has two base ISOs, 800 and 3200. This is not like increasing the gain on the video camera. It is like having two film emulsions, like 50D film and 500T film. So 800 and 3200 with the same dynamic range. Yeah, the exposure latitude on both imager modes is the same, and you get no extra noise at 3200 compared to 800. That is a great advancement. On the other hand, the Venice1, it still stays at 500 ISO base and 2500 ISO base. Yeah, so, right. Yeah. Additionally, anamorphic lens is basically slow lens. Yeah. Yes. When we used to shoot anamorphic, we'd always light up for 4, 5, 6 because the lenses would get sharp only then. Koa used to look terrible at 2. So since I was like an assistant cameraman, it was beaten into my head. You're shooting 100 frames per second, still you need 4, 5, 6. So yeah, with anamorphic lenses, today, the Cook, for example, is very, very good at 2.2 or 2.8, but still it is not 1.4. It's still 2.8 or something. So a base ISO of 3200 works very, very well. Yeah, next please. Yeah, 800, it gives you 6 stops over, minus 10 stops under. Look, the company says minus 10. I don't know, I've never been able to measure minus 10 stops, but then it gives a lot of latitude. We can see it. You can run a test here. We've got post-production equipment here. I've got Resolve. We can put it on a monitor, and then we can see. Yeah, this is open to testing. And we also have built-in NDs. That's the next slide. Yeah, let's go. Purcha slide, please. Yeah. So this is the comparison between the Venice2 and the Venice1. Well, we've been through all this already. I mean, you didn't take pictures. We can give you this detail. Yeah. Okay. Next, please. Yeah. So this is what I was saying earlier. You can take out the PL mount interface and then put any still camera. Let's say you have old Nikon lenses. You can use Nikon still camera lenses on this camera and use the Sony G Master series. You can get remote focus. You can get, but no auto exposure. So yeah, making the system even smaller. It can be done on the field. It can be done in 5 minutes. And there's no chance of flange focus distance going bad or anything. Next. The best thing about this camera are the built-in NDs. So there are 2 rotating discs in front of the sensor. The first disc has a clear slide, and then it has a 0.3 ND and a 0.9 ND. The rear plate has a clear filter, and it has a 0.9 and 1.8 ND. So when you rotate one against the other or the 2 together, you get NDs going from 0.3 to 2.4, all instantaneously. You can attach a USB device, a wireless device, and control the NDs from an Android phone. Yeah, so your camera is up on a Jimmy Jim. You're getting too much depth of field. You want to open up a stop, so you can, using wireless Teradek or something, open up one stop, drop in an ND, drop in two NDs, instantaneously open up to, that is one of the greatest. Putting an ND, taking out an ND from the Mac box was a religious ritual when we used to shoot film. Get the ND out, clean it properly, put it back in, like everybody was quiet on set. It used to take long, but now, 2 discs over there. Right. Next slide, please. "44mm shot as compared to the Venice 1 with the recorder, 410 grams light." One cameraman told me, hey, it's only 400 grams light. It's less than a milk packet weight. What is the reduction? The idea is that the body has become smaller, the center of gravity has shifted, so it sits nicely on the shoulder. More importantly, for gimbals, for drones, etc., it's the ideal size. So for this quality of camera, this is the best weight and size that can be had. No engineering company in the world can make an electronic camera of this quality with so many features, lighter or smaller. This is the best that can be had. Yeah? So, right. Next slide, please. Also, this is the optical block. The optical block is hermetically sealed. So, chances of dust, water, moisture minimized. So, your maintenance, on-field maintenance or service room maintenance, very little work needs to be done. The intake fans, the output fans, they're all situated far away from the camera operator, and that aids for very, very comfortable camera operation. And yes, so you have to put an additional fan for the AXS memory recording, which can go up to 6.6 gigabits per second. It's like 2 DVDs per second. That's the data rate. That's mind-boggling how much data crunching the camera does. Yes? The camera gets very hot while operating. But as long as it does not give a warning, you don't have to worry. Arey, camera bada garam ho raha hai, Sundar. I get complaints. Say, please, don't worry. Unless it gives you a warning, it's fine. It's doing a lot of work. That's why it's getting hot. Yeah? Right. So, next, please. Also, I personally advise people that for every 150 days of operation, that is 12-hour days, 150 of 12 such days, that is 6 months. Once in 6 months, please send it to servicing. We've got service engineers all over the country. There are service engineers in Hyderabad. Some of them are here, even as we speak. Service engineers in Hyderabad, Calcutta, Mumbai, Delhi, wherever else. Probably even Guwahati, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, sure. Yes, Amitabh? We would have even in the smaller cities? Absolutely, yeah. So everything is modular. So if you want to put it on a Steadicam, get rid of the viewfinder and the top handle, etc. You've lost nearly 750 grams of weight. So one of the, next, on-field maintenance also becomes very, very simple. Next, please. "12G SDI 1, 2, and simultaneously 3G. What's the significance of this? Netflix and Amazon are insisting that filmmakers watch 4K output in HDR and standard dynamic range simultaneously on set on Amazon and Netflix productions. Of course, they are paying for it, but they are insisting that 4K viewing needs to be done. There are 4K monitors. There are excellent monitors from Sony. We have one here, the 24-inch HDR monitor, the PVM X2400. It gives 1,000 nits edge to edge, 1,000 nits uniformly throughout the frame. Some of you some rental houses might find it expensive, but you have small HD, etc. Those also give 4K. They don't give 1,000 nits edge to edge, but all of them need 4K on a single SDI BNC cable. So this here, 1 and 2 can output single 12G 4K with LUT. Venice 1 could not output with LUT. Venice 2 can output with LUT. Yeah. There is also an internal mic. For editors who want a scratch recording of sound. Right? Next, please. Yeah, this gives you the detail. Yeah, the earlier 12-volt out was a 4-pin Hiroshi, but now it is 12-volt LEMO 2-pin, which is apparently more easy to source in India. So yeah. Also, for timecode out, etc., there's instead of the 5-pin auxiliary LEMO, you have a BNC out. Now, earlier, cameramen, there were not cameramen, but post-production supervisors for Netflix, etc., used to complain that when we were shooting high speed, when you're shooting like, let's say, 70 frames per second, they couldn't get timecode lock between two cameras. That has been rectified on the Venice 2. There's a gen lock out cable going, so you can connect one to the other and then lock both cameras whatever speed you're running at. Of course, if you're running 48 frames or 60 frames on this, you need to run 60 frames on the other also to have the same time code. They want to do editing work faster and faster. That's it. Yeah? That's another advantage. Yeah, next please. This also going to be, starting January 2023, an extension system available, wherein you can keep the camera body away by a distance of 3 meters or 12 meters. These are two different instances. So you buy a separate cable which goes onto the camera body and onto the image sensor part. And you can handhold and walk around like that. You can fix the camera, like for example, on top of that screen, like a security camera perspective. Yeah. So that distance is available in 3 meters and 10 meters. Earlier, it was 9 feet and 18 feet. Now, it's interchangeable. But now, it is fixed at 10 feet, 3 meters, or 12 meters. Lot more assignable and function buttons on the Imager extension system. That's coming in January 2023. Will be released in early 2000. Yeah, the CBK 3160XS. That's what it's called, the Rialto. Yeah, this is the Rialto 2. Next, please. Pudcha. Next one. Yeah, Raw Viewer. Raw Viewer is an excellent, free of cost, downloadable software available from SonyCreativeSoftware.com, which can allow you to watch clips in on a Mac or a Windows laptop. It's completely free of cost. It also has scoop lens, metadata, etc., etc. So this can be used for data transfer, for watching of the rushes, etc., etc. It's completely free of cost. We can see it. I have it on my laptop here. Next slide, please. Yeah. So S66 is the card that you use with the Venice2 8K. Yeah, it's 1 terabyte in size because the file sizes are going to be larger, right? The major difference between S66 and the earlier card is that the earlier card had a data rate, maximum absorbing data rate of 4.8 gigabits per second. Yeah, that's why it was called the S48. The new one has 6.6 gigabits per second. Hence, it's called. But on the Venice2, you can use the S48 as long as you are shooting 8.2K 24 frames per second. When you do high speed, then the 4.8 gigabits per second absorption speed is not enough. You need more. Only for high speed, you need to use and anamorphic shooting, by the way. Full frame anamorphic in Venice2 requires S66. Full frame anamorphic in, not full frame, Super 35 anamorphic requires S48. So you can use the old card as well as the new card in conjunction. So if you need 3 cards on set, then you can have 2 S66 and 1 S48, or 1 S48 or 2, what was it? Yeah, 1 S66 and 2 S48s as the situation demands. However, this shouldn't be decided by the cameraman. This comes under the purview of the data manager. And please, cameraman, let's stick to our creative jobs. Let the data guys decide on all this. This card reader also is new with the Venice2. It has the new Thunderbolt 3 connector. The earlier card reader had the Thunderbolt 2. Thunderbolt 2 had a maximum capability of 10 gigabits per second. This has capacity up to 40 gigabits per second. So a 1R card, the 1 TB S66 card can be transferred. If you have a good enough hard disk, you can transfer in half an hour's time. That is, it works with both Windows and Mac. So yeah, that's the latest technology that is available. Yeah, so that was the last slide. And yes, I'm done. Any questions? Please don't clap. I get paid for this. Any questions? Please, someone ask a question.
What about external recorder for Venice2?
No external recorder required, but if you want, you can use any video recorder. Yeah, it does not output RAW. Through the SDI, it does not output RAW. It outputs only video. Yeah. So you have many of these monitors today made by any one of them, Atomos. Yeah, that is a recorder. But there are these monitors which have a built-in recorder in them. So you can record, yeah. And
there is no internal RAW.
internal RAW, of course. Of course. That is, the S66 card is internal RAW. Yeah. Yes. ProRes 4K only, not ProRes proxy. If you want proxy, like I said, use the Venice1. If you don't want proxy, use the Venice2.
But both cannot be recorded simultaneously.
No, in what? In Venice1, you can. In Venice2, you can't.
Because of the internal recorder?
Yeah, because of the internal recorder. Yeah, now we'd like you, one second. If there are no more questions, we can watch what has been shot. One film in England, one film in the US. Yeah, using the Venice2 camera. Okay, let's play the movie, please. Switch the lights off and then let's go. Hey, switch this off. How does the...
Super presentation.
Thank you. And
Sir,
1 hour
for this and maybe another 1 hour.
नहीं नहीं, this is for 15-20 minutes. Yeah.
Which he would never.
कुछ आएगा ही, कुछ देना चाहिए. You must give some tea or something to Ramesh ji यार.
बाहर है.
नहीं नहीं, वो कहाँ जाएंगे बाहर यार.
Okay, I will get it. Okay, I will get it. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, sir. Fantastic presentation. My name is Muttumani, but from India.
All right. You're a Tamilian?
Yes, sir.
No, just asking.
Sorry for the lag. We couldn't arrange you the call mic.
That's okay. It's over.
Yeah. It's not available in that here.
Huh?
It's not available in
Need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, please.
डाल दूंगा। This film has been shot with Cook anamorphic lenses in 6K, I mean in 8K 3:2. We should never show this film again on the large screen. The gamma is all wrong now. ब्लैक्स कितना लिफ्टेड लग रहा है। ब्लैक ही नहीं है, ब्लैक नहीं है। इन लोगों के हाथ में देने से ऐसे ही होता है। दो बड़ा बड़ा टीवी रखना चाहिए था इधर और दिखाना चाहिए था, इसीलिए मैंने बोला दो टीवी बड़ा वाला बना। Look at how bad it looks. Look at the face. अभी ऑब्वियस हो जाएगा, अभी स्टॉप करेंगे ना, ऑब्वियस हो जाएगा, जाने दो। Sorry. Oops. Sorry. गाँव में स्क्रीनिंग होता है ना, ऐसा है। ब्लैक व्हाइट देखो कैसा है ना, अंदर ये कंज्यूमर वाली को जगह तो ऐसे ही है। इसको नॉलेज है, वो क्या सोचते हैं, क्या क्वालिटी क्या चलेगा। ये सच में ग्रेट गाय यार। उम्र हो गई उनकी, बोल रहे हैं। हाँ pretty good. किसी ने ताली नहीं बजाया हमको छोड़ के.
So this is all about Venice2, and here is the camera. You can come and have an hands-on experience of Venice2, and we have two more cameras, FX3 and FX6. So these two also Netflix approved. Okay, please have hands-on experience, and this is Q&A. If you have any doubts, questions, you can ask. We can answer here. And please be here within half an hour. We will have refreshments in the hall. So till the time, please you have time to talk.
कहाँ पे भी ले सकते हैं? रवि.
Thank you very much.
कहाँ रखना है? एक मिनट है, एक निमिषம் है. हाँ, वो किधर गया वो? कैमरे के साथ आया था.
Please come forward.
Sorry?
ஹைதராபாத்ல
You can check the camera here.
திருப்பி சொல்லுங்க.
எவ்வளவு நாள் இருக்கீங்க ஹைதராபாத்ல?
நான் வந்து இல்ல நாளைக்கு காலையில கிளம்புறேன். ஆமா. Hello sir. Vishwa sir. Yeah.
Take your number.
Yeah, please. You are a famous cameraman.
No, not like that.
Yeah.
Love to hear your take on traditional, like you talked about depth of field. Yes, deep focus is something which we practiced earlier.
Yeah, it is
It's
the real
It's
thing.
the flavor of the season. Probably
Shallow depth of field is horrible. It's horrible, but I can't,
Yeah, I know. You should
अरे वो नंबर मुस्तफा.
Yes.
Yeah.
Better now.
रवि, तुम्हारा नाम क्या है? विजय. हाँ, विजय ऊपर रख देना. Please speak to him in your language. Yeah, you want to handle this? Use the card also if you want. Do you have the card? Monitor, cable, come. अरे यार, वो FX3 ला वहाँ. अरे पारे यार, ये क्या FX3 ला? हाँ? हाँ, बिल्कुल. नहीं, इसको बुलाओ ना किसी को. Oh, he is looking through the viewfinder. Let him.
Let me.
Yeah. Mustafa.
Yes, sir.
இங்க வாயே.
इधर
கொஞ்சம் இந்த थोड़ा वो हो गया. இன்னும் இருக்கா? और है? हाँ. Yes. record full itara mulka record agum. Okay. Now you are seeing extra on this side. So the image is looking small. In the next version 2, this will become full frame.
Okay, this is extra.
Yeah,
Not-
this is
not-
yeah,
not
yeah.
recording.
So yeah, it is recording.
Recording.
Yeah, but this is the final release print. Projection itara. This is projection area. Yeah. So we have here glare cut chesi tambi erna tar glare cut. So you can see here that anamorphic D squeeze 1.8. You can use depending upon the lens. Let's say Scorpio anamorphic is there full frame. That has squeeze factor of 2. Koa lens 2. But please don't use Koa lens with this camera because it is only it is very old and quality is not good. Okay. So these are far superior. So Scorpio anamorphic, Cook, Master anamorphic, Atlas. Atlas is full frame, new lens, cost effective. But only right now 3 focal lengths available. In future more will be available. So this is and this is a 4K monitor. Yeah. So just turn it around. Oops, sorry. Yeah. So even in this light, you are look at the aperture. You are shooting at 2.8 plus. This light. Yeah. Look at the monitor. This is what the release print will be. Yeah. Look at the hand. Look at. 1 second.
He had come in, I think, the college one. 1.5 years back.
Yeah.
Exactly. We know each other for a long time.
Yeah. Can we? क्या क्या करना है S-Log 3 पे करेगा तो वो HDR होगा. HDR नहीं दिखाना है. P3 color space. This is print film color space. Okay, so yeah, we can. So exposure index 3200 right now. So you can have LUTs. Yeah. So this is.
Please judge it.
So this is 709 LUT and sir, we are shooting in 3200 ASA. In this light you are getting aperture 2.8. So we will record this. Sandeep, can we record? The card is there. If anybody wants, you can take it to DI.
Viewing the anamorphic switch is on.
Yes. You, for example, I will. Okay, this is anamorphic squeeze. This is off. Okay. This is on. Okay. This is off. So if you are using master anamorphic, for example, master anamorphic has squeeze off into 2. Okay. Or you are using Hawk. It has squeeze off into 2. So
you have that option as well.
yes, this is 2.
Okay.
Very little difference from 1.8, but it is there. So this is what is. So it will record 3:2 anamorphic aspect ratio. Sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. It was like real honor to have you with us, and you're an inspiration for many of us. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
See, if it is not full frame, how do we judge the fall off? Like in that case, how do we set the format in the sense?
Okay, so now, for example, so you can see here in the assistants panel, what we are shooting right now is
8.6.
8.6. This is the largest
full sensor,
full sensor. So best bang for the buck is this. Okay, now let's say if you put a spherical lens, then you will choose 8.6, 17 by 9, or I'll still shoot 3:2, and then I'll just set the squeeze to off. Okay, and then I will keep a marker. I will keep a marker to you know, whatever I want. You know, frame line setup, and I will choose aspect ratio 17 by 9 or 1.85:1, for example. This is the wrong lens, but
exactly,
yeah. This is what this is spherical 1.85:1. You know, it looks wrong, but yeah, this is what, if we put a spherical lens, I think we have a spherical lens. Vijay,
in this, which I think with the anamorphic, we sort of use the maximum sensor
absolutely,
area.
yes.
Almost like 80%.
With this lens, you are using 95%.
95%. Right.
Yeah. So if you use, this is 1.8. If you use 1.65 squeeze, then you would be using 100%. 1.65, 1.8. So you calculate the difference. You're probably 85, 90% of the sensor area.
Panavision guys are making us expensive.
Yeah, but unfortunately both Panavision and Arri are not available in India, and they're not for sale. So they're only for rental. So yeah. So
see, the only option, I mean, issue with anamorphics are like, you know, I mean, for those guys who love to work full open, that margin is not there.
Yeah. So you can, I mean, it's release print on a screen.
Finally,
this is.
See, fine F, but the cinematographer is particular about the flavor of the season, saying that it's full of it's held for the focus puller.
Yes.
Sometimes when you watch a film, you will be wondering, like, could you see something better?
Absolutely.
You go to background, but you don't show what the background is because the focus is right on the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,000 times I've realized. I was watching a film which was shot in available light, and so there were two people seated in a car. A car is like this. A car is like this. Okay. So this was the left of frame. Okay. The center of the frame started with the slope of the windshield. Okay. Uske baad, there were these two people seated here. When the shot came on the screen, all I was seeing was this diagonal and an out of focus background. For an instant, for a little bit of time, my eyes didn't know where to look. Then I saw the out of focus area. That's a bad cut. You know, you either shift focus from there to here. At that time, in the hurry, the cameraman probably didn't think, okay, I have to shift focus. Or the editor, you know, there's something wrong, you know. You're 100% right, you know. So I got out of the film, you know, in that sense, it wasn't, yeah.
Okay, now see, for every frame change, like you're going into high speed, you will have to keep fiddling with the sensor size. So
No.
Okay.
So, if you want high speed, please don't shoot full frame anamorphic, because it's a theoretical, technical impossibility.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So if you want high speed, then for that shot, you should go to, I mean, you're right, but then
No,
yes.
in that case, see, what you're going to use is a part of the anamorphic frame. It's really not going to make that much of
No, it won't. It won't. For those scenes, if you're doing a fight scene, then you can shoot the same anamorphic lens. Like for example, we have a spherical lens for now.
Yes, I think they got it on.
Kunjam. Right in front. Okay. Thoda sa idhar aaiye. Yeah. So set the focus there. So this is, I mean, this is a spherical lens now with 1.66 aspect ratio. So this is best for this sensor. I think we should have anamorphic release print shot with anamorphic lens and spherical release print shot with spherical lens. The age of Super 35 spherical lens anamorphic release, I think, is over now. You know, it's not up to the
see,
cameraman.
Now for OTT, right now, 16:9
Is the standard.
Is the standard, right?
Yeah.
Which is more or less 6:6.
Yeah.
1:1.66
Yeah.
is more or less the same.
Absolutely. But thankfully, the newer generation of cameramen also is realizing the virtues of anamorphic. So they shoot 2.39:1, but they release it in 16:9. So yeah. So if you want to go back into anamorphic, let me just anamorphic lens laga do, please. I'll just be with you in 1 second. Let me just finish. Yes.
So, what is the 3200?
3200 ISO.
ISO.
Speed. Yeah. So you have two speeds. Those speeds hai aapke paas. 3200 ISO. Change base. 800 ISO. Set. 800 ISO. So low light la. This is normal light. Day exterior or anything with NDs.
About frame rate change,
yes.
Automatically your sensors
No, it's not automatic. You'll have to go back and then, yeah.
Okay.
So for example, right now we are shooting 8K 3:2 and the aspect ratio looks wrong. Okay, so I'll switch it on.
Yes.
And yeah, now it looks right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me but it's in 800 ISO. Let me put it back to 3200 ISO. Change base. 3200. Yeah. So now it looks fine. Yeah. So it even looks. Let's switch that light off. It looks better without that light.
The light, yes.
Off, please. So now let's say you want to shoot high speed. In order to shoot high speed,
I think remembering that after a while you'll get used to.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what range it's going to work.
So now this you will shoot